Hello everyone, welcome to another video. It is the final round of the FIA Manufacturers Exhibition season for 2019 and we are heading to Laguna Seca in Group 4 cars for 17 laps. Fuel at times 3, tyre wear at times 12 and we have the racing medium and the racing hard tyre available. And if we go through into the details and look at the tyre requirement, you can see we have to run both compounds at some point in the race. So the footage we join here is just me doing some practice runs as we sort of see what kind of lap timing out the medium tyres and also out the hard tyres. Now with the banning of the hybrid tyre compound, there is this kind of limits the strategy options for this one because we cannot do a no stopper because we must run both compounds of tyre. So this one simply boils down to a one stopper, and you're going to have to decide whether you're going to start on the hard tyres and change to mediums or start on the medium tyres and change to hards. And the decision to be made is when will be the optimal point to do that. At what point are you going to be better off changing tyres, or at what point are you going to be losing too much lap time on the tyres that you are on. So the little test I'm running here was just to see what sort of lap time I could get out the hard tyres when the fuel had been run down a little bit. So if I was going to go from mediums to hards, I was kind of got a rough idea of what type of sort of lap time I'd be looking to change at. So I've done a lap time in the low 29s on the mediums. The optimal I think was a 28.8, so we can do a 28.8 on the medium tyres at the beginning of the run. And so this lap here is my second attempt on the hard tyres. I'm across the line to do a 29.7. So we kind of know that once our kind of lap times drop towards the late 129s on the mediums, that it's time to change to hard tyres. So jumping forward to this first strategy run, starting on the medium tyres. We join the car on lap 8. Now the tyre wear is pretty high at times 12, so you're going to have to nurse these medium tyres initially, try not to take too much life out of them, or you're going to be suffering pretty early on in the race. And I think you're going to see in this race a lot of cars struggling after 3-4 laps on their tyres, but they're going to have to soldier on because it really is only a one stop that is the option. We'll see why just a little bit later on when we do a pit stop or we talk about the pit stops. The two stopper is out the window just because of the time lost in the pits. Now we'll just briefly talk about fuel. There is no fuel saving required for this one. Every Group 4 car should be able to run flat out on the fuel from start to finish without refueling at the pit stop. There may be the odd car out there that sort of burns through the fuel a little bit quicker. The Mustang is the worst car on fuel in Group 4 that I'm aware of. So that may be the one car that has to sort of manage the fuel a little bit. But if you have to manage the fuel, it should only be very, very minor fuel saving. So going back to if you start on the medium tyres, the tyre wear is, as I said, pretty high. You're going to be wanting to watch your tyre wear. I would suggest just not going flat out from the off, leave a few percent on the table, just to try and take a lot of stress off the tyres. Try not to do any hard braking into the sort of big stopping zones of turn 1, the corkscrew and the last turn coming up here. The harder you have to brake, the more tyre wear you induce on the tyres. So if you can minimise how much you're having to brake, then you should be able to save the tyre just a little bit more. But it is certainly easier said than done when you get into race conditions. Obviously adrenaline starts flowing, you're fighting the cars around you, and it's quite easy to get a little bit aggressive on driving the car as you try to keep your position or indeed make positions up. So the lap times had dropped into the 130s there. Lap 9 was a 130.1, so we know now that it's time to pit. We can be quicker on the hard tyres at this point in the race. So into the pits we come. Now, ignore the pit times here for this one. We're running this test run in a practice session where the pit stop is a good bit shorter than a race pit stop. So you see the in lap there being a 136.5. If we just cut here, we're actually in a custom race and we come into the pits. You'll see quite a big difference in how long it takes the car to get from the end of the pit lane to the pit box. It would be the car would already be in getting its tyres changed in a practice session. You can see the clock is ticking on. It's around about 10 seconds slower the race pit stop compared to practice. So don't get caught out by that if you're doing your race runs in practice. The pit stop is a lot longer. When it's all said and done, you lose about 19 seconds in the pits in Group 4 cars. Pardon me. So yes, quite a substantial pit loss, which is why the two-stopper is just not an option. As I said, despite the fact that we have a tyre requirement to run two different types of tyres, the strategy is fairly simple and it boils down to a one-stopper. You either start in the hards onto the mediums or the mediums onto the hards. So on the last lap of this run here, the one-stopper medium hard, you can see the lap times there on the hard tyres actually surprised me a little bit. I thought I'd be sort of in the mid 29s, but we're actually in the low 29s and actually also dipping into the 28s as well. So I think that opens scope to maybe even change the tyre just a little bit earlier than what I did. You can maybe, if you find yourself stuck in traffic come lap 8, I think you could probably, there's a lot of fighting going on and it's costing you lap time. I think you could dive into the pits on about lap 8, change from the mediums to the hards, and still have more pace than the cars you were fighting with. So I would say do not be scared to change to the hard tyres midway through the run. They actually have quite decent pace, mostly because the medium tyres degrade quite heavily after about 5-6 laps. So we are now doing the opposite run. We are on the hard tyre to start the race, and we will change to mediums. Now it's hard to sort of really decide what is the optimal point to change here. We know the medium tyres are quicker than the hard tyres, probably within the region, if they're the same sort of age, of about 7/10 of a second. But we also know the medium tyres wear out quite fast and you start to struggle after about 5 or 6 laps. So we do want to run these hard tyres for a decent portion of the race. Now I've decided I'm going to pit at the end of this lap here. I just felt I was starting to lose pace on the hard tyres now. As you can see, the pace was quite consistent from lap 2 to lap 6. Every lap time falling in between the 29.4 to 29.6. As we go through that second sector, you can see we're 6 tenths down already, and we're about to drop into the 130s. So I felt this was a good time to come in and change to the medium tyres. So again, ignore the pit stop time here. Again, this run has been done in practice conditions rather than race conditions. When I say practice conditions, obviously the lobby is set up to simulate the race conditions with tyre wear and fuel. Just in case anybody has the idea that maybe we're talking about practice conditions in the time trial mode. So on to the medium tyres we go. We're going to have to try and get 10 laps out of these tyres. Now again, I would suggest not absolutely killing the tyres initially. You maybe want to do what I did here was I gave it full beans for 1 lap just to get the absolute best out the tyres for see what sort of lap time I could put down. Obviously this is the kind of time you're looking to try and jump people in the pit stops as well, so I would say you want to put in one very quick lap and then start nursing the tyres after that. Very similar to what they do in modern Formula 1 when they change tyres. They'll come out and they're outlapping their first flying lap. They'll sort of do in qualifying conditions, and then you see the lap time drop off quite dramatically after that, as they have to then start looking after the tyres. And it's a fairly similar story here. So we are on a pretty handy lap here. We're 8 tenths up on our best so far. As we come through the second last corner, we're just a little bit wide, but we get it stopped nicely into the last corner, hit that apex there, and we're nice and early on the power, and we power towards the line, and we're going to stop the clock at 28 point, well, near enough 28.2. So after this we just went back to our braking a little bit early, trying not to put too much braking force through the tyres. As I said, we had 10 laps to try and get out of them, and we do quite a good job up until lap 15. Nice consistent lap times, 28.7 all the way from lap 10 to lap 15. But then I suffered quite a dramatic drop off in lap time, and I'm not really sure why, but I seem to wear the tyres out a little bit more in this 10 lap run than I did in the first run where I started on the medium tyres, which shouldn't really have been the case. Because we're in lower fuel, the tyre wear should have been able to be a little bit more manageable. So something for myself to work on, or kind of to look into. I'm not quite sure why that was the case. I didn't really think I was stressing the tyres too hard. You can see the lap times there at the end. They dropped into the mid 29s. And then we actually finished on a 30. So the times for both runs now up on the screen. I've adjusted them accordingly with adding on the pit stop time as it would have been, and syncing the cars from the first lap as well. So the first run came in at 25.45.8. That was doing 10 laps on the mediums and then changing to the hards for 7 laps. And run 2, which was the sort of opposite one, 7 laps on the hards, 10 laps on the mediums, coming at 25.43.3. So 2.5 seconds quicker starting on the hards, but I think that's really within the margin of error. We are talking about a 25-minute race, so 2.5 seconds is certainly not enough to suggest it's a quicker strategy. Probably a little bit more, as is often the case, you get a little bit more in tune with the car and the track, and start being able to sort of look after the tyres a little bit better, and subsequently set slightly better lap times and a better overall finishing time. But both ways certainly an option. I would say if you start in the mediums, find that what a point of drop off on lap time where you want to be on, make your pit stop and change to the hard tyres. If you happen to find yourself in traffic around about laps 7-8, you can certainly change to the hard tyres as an option. So hopefully this has been helpful in helping you decide your strategy for the race. Thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you on the next one. Goodbye.